retention, but can we spend at least as much on retention as you do on acquisition? Can we allocate our time that way? Or can you at least give me like Friday afternoons is for donor retention or donor stewardship, some kind of dedicated commitment to making sure this stuff happens. All right, let's just look at stuff, see things that have worked, some creative ideas, ways you can fine tune your operation. I'm just realizing this bar is on here. I'm going to get that out of the way. And we'll see what you like. And then we'll do some questions and see where we go from there. The first question I get is how often? Right? So like, yeah, we're doing this year-end appeal. We have our annual appreciation awards banquet in April. We have our golf in June. We do another summer appeal. What's it look like? How often? How often do I need to say thank you? Well, we do have this law in fundraising. It's the fundraising law of 7. Can I get it? Oh, yes. It's only the second book down. Fundraising law of 7 comes out of this. This is donor-centered fundraising. This is the first edition. The second edition is now out. This is a study of over 40,000 households across the US and Canada, looking for the question, what do donors want from us in order to keep giving? The original research was done in the very early 2000s and found that donors want to hear from us at least 7 times between asks where we're not asking for anything. We're just telling them, saying thank you, telling them what we did with their money, giving updates, sharing stories, maybe inviting them to something free, but no ask whatsoever. So it seems like a lot, but everything counts and it kind of adds up quickly. And I'll give you a tool at the end to kind of help see where you're at. But that's always my answer. So how often? Well, how fast do you get to 7, right? So if we solicit right now and we have the gift acknowledgement, maybe we do my crazy speedy thank you that I'll share with you in a little bit. We have like maybe a postcard or a newsletter, kind of like by March, April, maybe we're there. But if we don't do any stewardship and we get to March, April and solicit, that's when donors say, oh, the Education Foundation, they only ever reach out when they want money, right? And that's really what we're trying to avoid here. All right, so 7, that is the most recent version. She repeated the research in, I think, 2019. And the fundraising law of 7 held true, so it's still there. I do recommend this book. I have it linked up for you. For some reason, it's really expensive. It's like 80, 90 bucks. But I do find that a lot of libraries have it, so you can check it, interlibrary loan, this kind of thing. So I do a lot of work with libraries, so I always tell them to buy it. So slowly getting it on bookshelves. So Penelope Burke, the author of that study, says every communication you send to a donor is interrupting something they're already doing. Make it count, right? I find this most common with like social media posts. Like, oh, we haven't put anything on our Facebook page in like 3 weeks. Let's just find some random thing and put it out there. Just kind of a little more thought, make it count. I will say the one item you can do, go out to your district's sign, like the sign in front of the district office or something. It's got the school district sign. Sit there in your lawn chair, not today, it's cold today, but like in the fall, wait for a squirrel or some other kind of critter to hop on the sign, take a photo, put that on Facebook. I guarantee it will be your most popular Facebook post all year. For some reason, like critters on the signs just works really well. It's across all disciplines. I've seen it work everywhere. So that's good filler. But otherwise, make sure it's actually something that counts. So, all right, let's look at a bunch of examples here. I'm done giving you theory and research and all of that. We're just going to look at what actually works. So I'm going to kind of start at the beginning and then jump all over the place. So we're going to start at the beginning with somebody just made a donation. Right? Somebody just made a donation, whether it's online or you're opening the mail. Let's say it happened today. 9:57 donation came in. What are you going to do after this call? Well, you're thinking, okay, great, donation came in. It's going to go into our standard protocol. We're going to run our batch of thank you letters, whatever. Actually, let's do a little audience engagement quiz. Has anyone ever heard how fast you should thank your donors. Any amount of time you've heard anywhere of how quickly should you send the donor the gift acknowledgement letter, right? Oh, here it comes. Here we go. First one, nailed it. Yep. 48 hours, 2 days. Yep. I do not know who ever published this blasphemy, right? 2 days. Like, where did this come from? There's no research to back it up. I've looked wide and far. Well, put yourself in your donor's shoes. You send a check to a local nonprofit. Do you expect a letter back like 3 days later, right? No, like a week's fine, right? 10 days, whatever. Like, I need it for taxes, whatever. Don't let me go like 2-3 weeks a month, but a week, 10 days, perfectly fine. So yeah, so I don't like that. But I do feel like, there's something. The other reason I don't like it is in a small shop, I want you to batch your letters. Like, Friday morning, we run all the letters for the week, right? Everything's entered, ready to go. Our online donations, they get the generic auto reply, so they're kind of taken care of. But if I'm waiting that week, I always worry about the person that gave Saturday morning, and now I'm not printing the letters till Friday, so it's going to be like over a week. So what do? I do the crazy speedy personal thank you. This is an email or like a pre-printed postcard if you don't have their email address. What does it say? Thanks so much for your recent donation to the Education Foundation. You'll receive a formal gift acknowledgement in the mail, but I wanted to personally reach out and thank you as soon as possible. Thank you again for your generous support of education in our community. It's an email template, right? I use a tool called Text Expander that I can press 2 keys on my computer and then it automatically fills in. It's like $100 a year. It's a huge time saver. Check it out if you've never heard of it. But before I had that, I just had this as a Word doc saved on my desktop. Copy, paste, put it in an email, put their first name, send. I got 12 quick emails, takes 5 minutes. That's a touch point. That's number 1 out of 7. So we're getting a touch point in before they even get their formal gift acknowledgement thank you. So within a week, we're going to have 2 touch points. So we're already getting quickly to that 7. So I love the crazy speedy. Good little tool, just kind of jump starts that stewardship process. So then we send our formal gift acknowledgement. I have a sample one on the resources page for you. Always be looking to keep that fresh. I always like a story in it, not just the generic thank you, the legal language we have to have. And I usually try to change the story at least like 2-3 times a year, just because of those donors that every time you send them something, they send you the $50 check, right? I wish we had more of them, but I want them to get a different thank you letter, something fresh, something current. I'm hoping none of you are sending your gift acknowledgement letters in these, right? What comes in these? Bills come in these, right? So I don't even want your solicitations to come in these because you're going to get more of them tossed than you would if they came in a normal envelope, but definitely not your thank you letters. Right? And can we do something to kind of personalize it a little bit? One of my biggest pet peeves is I get a solicitation or a thank you and my name's printed on the front. So they clearly know my name. I'm in my system. And then I open the letter and it says, "Dear friend of the foundation," or something like that. Like you have the field, just put it in there, right? And if you, for some reason, can't do it, cross it out, write my name. And you can be on a first name basis with all of your donors. Whether you know them personally or not, they are a friend of the foundation. You can cross it out and write Chad right there, no problem. Any kind of personalization will help to get things opened. Something as dumb as a crooked stamp, just tilting it like 5 degrees to the left, increases the open rate by 9%, just because it looks like a human did it, right? So I have a lot of fun with this. Even paying bills, I put everything on crooked. Like sometimes they're like almost upside down. My mail lady has stopped and said, "Chad, what's going on?" And I told her, and so now she can see me. I'm looking at my mailbox right here. So if I have one really crooked, she'll just wave it at my window saying, "I see it, have fun." But yeah, crooked stamps, they work. right? It's dumb little things, but little notes on the columns, post-it notes. You have a volunteer that wants to help you out. They want to do admin work, but you don't want them touching the database. You don't trust them. Give them the Post-it pad and ask them to fill it with lots of little notes to your donors. Thanks so much. You mean the world to us. We couldn't do it without you. Now you have like 50, whatever, have your board members do it. Just fill up these Post-it pads. And then when you're too busy, you can just plop a Post-it on rather than having to take the time to do a little note. Paper clips are also amazing. People think machines can't paperclip. They actually can, but you can just paperclip something creative. So this is one of my favorite tools. A favorite photo, your kids program in action, your summer mentoring, whatever it is. Make sure you have your releases. Then go to Walgreens, Target, wherever, and get actual prints made, like photos. That they still exist, right? And just paperclip a photo. These folks went extra credit and actually included a note here, but I like to just take a Sharpie and write on the back of the photo, you made this happen. Thanks again, right? Super simple. You don't see prints, you don't see paper clips. So all these little things just to show that extra touch. Your online donation reply form, what does it say? When's the last time you looked at it? Most people set it up and kind of forget it, all right? Go in, even if you have PayPal, there's a tiny little area that you can add a little something extra, right? It's still gonna look like you bought something on eBay, which is why I don't like PayPal as online giving. There are cheap options out there that can take you up the next level. My favorite being DonorBox, but that's a whole nother discussion. But look at this one. Dear Lynn, because of you, countless children and their families have a reason to be thankful. Because of your recurring support, patients can celebrate health and healing and look forward with hope and strength. All right? And we have a person in there, a name, a way to get in touch with me. Yes, it's automatically generated, but it feels so much more personal than the thing that makes me feel like I just paid for something or bought something, which is what a lot of ours look like. So you've seen a lot of personalization already. You're going to see more. Is it worth our time? 59% of donors said personalization would increase their donation by up to 10%, while 25% said personalized experiences would raise their donation by up to 25% more. Okay? So we're going to look at that experience and think about that a little bit. I have a couple ways for you to do that, but yeah, just taking the time. And this is my favorite way to engage volunteers. Even during COVID, we did this. Like, we actually took, go get our mailing printed, all of our letters, have the envelopes, drop the envelopes off at a volunteer's house on their front porch. They hand addressed them. Then we took them back and got it matched up. It's a lot of work, it's extra effort, but it gets stuff opened, and it does make a difference. A tip on thanking donors. So often we thank them for what they did, right? Thank you for your donation. But it's even more effective if we thank them for who they are. Thank you for being such a generous person. Thank you for caring about the well-being of our community, right? So that subtle change in language just deepens it a lot more. It's not just about my money, it's about identity and who I am and psychology. So I've been playing with this one more and more. It's definitely a kind of a shift we're starting to see in the sector a little bit. Let's not forget about the power of the handwritten note, right? I know lots of us do this. I always challenge people, like, when's the last time you got a handwritten note that wasn't from a nephew, grandchild, whoever, that was forced to write it for the $50 gift card you sent them or something by their parents? But simple. It doesn't have to be huge. Here's a sample one that I received, right? This is my formula. You thank them for what they did, you state the impact, and you say what you appreciate about them. Like 3 sentences. If you're going on the back, it's too long, right? It's just super simple. So yeah, I can do this in 3 minutes. There we go. Here's the crooked stamp when I was supposed to tell you that statistic. Slightly tilted. And if you haven't seen them, they've been around forever now, and they're forever stamps, but the post office does have really nice thank you stamps. I always like to keep an eye on what the postage, what the postage system is doing. They come out with creative things. Sometimes there's something tied to your mission. Like I've seen playgrounds before. I've seen all kinds of. I've seen books. So a themed stamp on a tilt is going to help get things open a little bit. But these thank you stamps are great for donor acknowledgement and thank yous. Some of you are saying, you want me to mail all this stuff? I have no budget for that. Right? Well, you might not have a budget, but you do have board members. And you probably have a couple board members that, I'm not going to call them deadbeat board members, but they're not contributing quite to the level of others. So perhaps we could encourage them. Would you donate a roll of stamps? A roll of stamps, what I lose track. It's somewhere in the 70s these days. But a roll of first class stamps, 70 some bucks. Now I have 100 opportunities to send out some kind of personalized stewardship. Easy way for them to pitch in. So donor newsletters, right? A lot of us might have them, whether it be email or print. I do love a good print newsletter. I know they're expensive, so I tend to usually use postcards with smaller shops because they're a little more economical. But here's a simple four-page. Thank you for informing me on the current stamp cost. It is hard to keep track of. So here's a newsletter when I first started working with the group. Homebrew event showcases fundraising spirit. So a whole lead article about our fundraising event, which has absolutely nothing to do with our mission. Right? So a year later, we refreshed it, we switched it up, and here it is. You put the smile on Brian's face. I like to fly, Brian says, and I like to laugh. Brian gracefully steers his way through life. Nothing holds him back. Because of your support, SEPA helps us grow and grow like a flower. So it's this great story about how through your support, like the extracurricular fund is created. And because of that, Brian and his personal care attendant, Joy, can go to Hershey Park every summer, and he loves to ride the roller coasters and all of this stuff. So great story. That's what's front and center. All of a sudden, our mission and what my money actually did is right there. And it's not just talking about the organization, and definitely not talking about our fundraising. That's the thing they care about the absolute least, right? The results of your fundraising event should be buried on like page 3 at the bottom, right? The least likely place to read. What happened here? They got a $3,000 donation out of the blue. They looked her up. She was a $100 annual donor. They called her up, said, "Oh, thank you so much for this generous donation. What prompted this?" And she shared with them that she had actually recently lost her husband. And their favorite thing to do every summer was go to a different amusement park and ride, check off the list of like the world's best coasters. And there was $3,000 left in the life insurance money after his funeral. And she wanted to do something with it that would really honor him. And the story just resonated, right? And she wanted them to have it. So that's what can happen when we start sharing stories and quit talking about the organization. Or at least not putting it first and foremost. You saw a little bit of a language shift there. Your, right? We're kind of making the donor a part of it. We used to say, make the donor the hero of the story. That's gotten some pushback. Some of us took that a little too far. That kind of got to the point of like saviorism and being all about the donor. So I don't really say that anymore, but the your language, replacing some of the we, us with your, still really does a good job to kind of shift that and at least make the donor a part of the story, because they are a part of the story. Without them, we couldn't do a lot of what we do, but let's just not make them the whole story. That's where we go. All right, let's look at some other tools we have, things we can do, some free tools. So you all have these. They're sitting right beside you right now. Hold them up, wave them at me, right? We all have these cell phones. Yeah, here we go. Yep, there they all are, right? In the cell phone is a high resolution camera and a high resolution video camera. And we forget to use them, right? We are out in the field, things are going on. And yes, some are saying, well, do I have video clearance? Do I have cameras? Well, hopefully we get everybody to sign off. But even if not, you can get really far away and they can see stuff going on, all kinds of things. But, you know, a couple examples here. This is a McGee Rehab in Philly. What happened? They raised money for a new piece of physical therapy equipment. It came in. The physical therapists are very happy. Here, hold this. Snap, right? And then they email this to their donors. Thanks so much. The new piece of equipment is in. The PTs are ready to roll. We couldn't do it without you. Simple little email attachment, you know. Fire off 50 personal emails that way. It's going to take 20 minutes. Totally free. All it took was 20 minutes and getting the photo, and, you know, have the kids design the poster board, whatever, you know, have fun with it, right? I love postcards. I've mentioned them a couple times. They're economical. They work great with kids too. So this is one of my clients. They designed this. They had kids color the back and then write in a little message. I know Bobby Joe has taken this example and run with it for the last couple of years. She has summer program participants color and send. I get great little thank you postcard notes every year, but very easy, economical, great way. Postcards are pretty amazing altogether. No, my sample photo folder is over there, but I also like, I think I have an example coming up, but you can do die cut postcards. So postcards in a shape, like a school bus or a book or something like that can work really well. Just get the kids, yeah, postcard stamps are cheaper for sure. But anytime you can capture kids, so this was, they had kids write thank you notes to their sponsors. Thank you for letting us do all the fun labs. Thank you, sponsors. Unprompted, kid adds a joke, because kids are kids. Think like a proton. They are positive. Right? This is pure gold. We scanned this. We turned it into a postcard. You know, off it went. Here's my favorite postcard of all time. This is a die cut. I was running Harrisburg's United Arts Fund at the time. So this was the front. I actually mailed the shape of a violin. You can do this, right? And the back was, because of you, 283,000 residents had an arts experience last year. Thanks for your support. I had donors calling me, like, Chad, didn't even know you could do this. And then had this great little 20-minute conversation with a donor out of the blue. I'm like, all right. Next year, I sent a ballet slipper, then I sent an artist palette, and, you know, just, I'm going to keep that train going. Any print shop can do this. The expense with a die cut is if actually creating the die, the thing that cuts it out. But if they already have it, it's really not any more expensive than a standard. So this is a company in Florida that has like 500 dies that are already set to go. So I just include that contact information in here in case you like that idea. Here's another like almost free one. It just takes the cost of a stamp. So this is my local human services organization, food pantry, job training, all of that. The top here in the pool photo is the front. This is a 1/3 sheet piece of cardstock that they printed on the office printer, right? The bottom there is the back. It's been a fun-filled summer because of your support. Kids are having fun in the sun, learning about science and nature, reading books, volunteering in our community, and enjoying nutritious and healthy food. Next up, back to school. You make all this and more possible. And a quick little note, the little personalization right there. Thanks, Chad, smiley face, Joel. Right? That's all it takes to make it personal. It's a tiny little thing. So what did that, you know, everything was already there, went in the standard number 10 envelope. They just needed the stamp. Just needed the stamp. You obviously can't do this, but tours is what I'm talking about here. It's hard to find a photo of a tour, but you all get what's happening now, right? So a tour, oh, I just realized I'm not on screen, so we'll do that. A tour, can you offer a tour? You know, what might that look like? It is. So, especially in a big district, you know, my kids, well, we redistricted, so my kids went to 2 elementary schools in the district, but there's still like 6 or 7 others that I've never been inside. You know, the other middle school, I don't know, you know, the parts of the high school, I don't, maybe a behind the scenes school tour. You know, we'll pop you on the bus, right? You know, even if nobody comes, it's an invitation, it's a touch point. Hey, because of your support, we'd love to show you some of the gems in our district. Come see the most interesting room in each building, something like that. Try to fill a bus, and if you get 10 people, great. The 70 other people that you invited and didn't come, it's a touch point. You invited them to something for free. You were showing you cared, right? There we go. But yeah, Joe has a great idea too. Like, use your space if you can, and invite people to it. So tours work really well. Social media, I like this post. I share it. Always encouraging people to get monthly donors. Right? Monthly donors help us be sustainable. So they're showing a benefit of their monthly donors. Last week, our monthly supporters had the opportunity to do a live video chat with 6 of our students. The kids got to practice their English. The donors got to ask questions about their experience. Thanks to all who participated. Right? We have some donors that would just love to have some kind of interaction, and that's not easy. But what could that look like? And sharing it on social media, we have social proof right there, which is great. This is my favorite event for people that don't have the time or money for events, like holiday weekends in the summer. So think like Memorial Day, Independence Day, Labor Day, the Thursday before. So most people are going to take off that Friday, right? So Thursday before, that morning, just random invitation. Hey, swing by the district office parking lot over lunch today. Our staff and volunteer leadership are going to be out there flipping burgers and dogs. We'd love for you to swing by and say hello. It sounds really ridiculous, but it's amazing how many people actually show up, and people that you never see that are way too busy. But hey, I got to eat lunch. I'm out and about anyway. And you have like these little 5-minute conversation in the parking lot. That's not going to happen at your big event, because you're all over the place at that event. You got to make sure the program's going and all of this. But there's just like a little bit of time, and it's low cost. It's fairly easy, and mix that up for whatever makes sense for all of you. Maybe a football tailgate, right? Those kind of things. What makes sense? But again, even if they don't come, the sheer simple fact that you invited them is a touch point and counts. All right, here it is. We need drum roll. My favorite example for education foundations, right here. Right here. All right. So I'm going to talk you through this. So this is chalk art. All right. So someone has chalked this on the sidewalk, but this is special chalk art. This is 3D chalk art. All right. So if you actually walk up on this from another side, it's like really long and stretched down and looks like nothing. But if you stand where they have chalked a pair of footprints, and your graduate stands at the other piece of chalk prints, this is what you see when your photos come out. So it's 3D chalk art. This is actually done by a buddy I went to college with out at Slippery Rock. He lives in Western PA, but there are chalk artists everywhere. So the Education Foundation commissions this. When is this happening? This is baccalaureate, right? They are walking into baccalaureate. Everybody sees this. Of course, everybody is going to stop for this photo. What happens as soon as you take the photo? There's somebody standing off to the side that walks up and says, "Hi, I'm Ruthie from the Education Foundation. Congrats to your graduate. Here's a list of everything the foundation's provided your student over the last 13 years. Congratulations." That's it. No ask. In the foundation's a list. There's a QR code or something if they're interested in contributing. It's amazing. People have no clue what you've actually done for their kid. They don't read anything, all that stuff. But all of a sudden, you just informed like half of the graduating class what you've done for them. And you've given them this amazing photo opportunity. It's usually like $800 to $1,200 or something to commission this. Like, I might invest that to see what happens. Some random people that are feeling really warm and fuzzy and all of a sudden realize that we did all this stuff for their kid. That might happen. But it's also just a nice way for the Education Foundation to connect with the class, provide something at the very end, and really cool. So I've seen some libraries do this. Like, it's a great thing for any kind of grand opening. like we're opening a new building, there's a public thing, but just really kind of unique item, unique touch point. So that's my best one for you. So hope you like it. All right, let's get back to a little more traditional things, and then we'll start to wrap up and get to your questions here. The thank you call, the simple thank you call. We kind of put it off, like, does it really make sense? Calling to thank donors generated a 56% increase in first year retention. 56%. So they go from 29 and we're increasing that. It's huge. And 72% increase in revenues. So if you have board members that say, that's a waste of our time, share this, give them the stats. Who are you going to call? If you were unmuted, somebody would do it. Somebody always does it. But I'll just put it up there. But, there we go. I got it. Yeah, well, not calling Ghostbusters. These are the groups I like to call. I really love to call those first-time donors, right? Because that retention is so low, 29%. Give them that call right away. Everybody calls the middle group, repeat donors of 500 plus. So, thinking about, there are groups maybe that aren't used to getting these calls. So our monthly donors, maybe on like the anniversary date of when they first signed up. Thinking through behavior, not just dollar trigger. What behavior do I want to see more of? And call those groups. Who's best suited to make these calls? Those board members, right? Yep. Here's the specific stat for them right out of the 40,000 person study. Donors who receive a prompt personal thank you from a board member will usually give up to 39% more than the other group. So I have groups. If anybody wants to chime in, throw it in the chat. If your board makes calls, how do you do it? But I have some that'll do like a thankathon in like January, February. It's hard to have them all making calls in the same room, but just everybody gets a list. I have some groups that they assign each board member a month of the year. At the start of that month, you're going to get a list of 15 names. It's expected that you call them by the end of the month and report back if anybody had any questions or anything interesting was happening. So easy ways to kind of make it manageable for both you and for them. Some will say, I could do that, but I wouldn't know what to say. So you give them a script, right? This is my script. It's on the resources page for you. Take it, adjust it. I like this one because of the pauses. The pauses, they think we're going to ask for more money. And when we don't, it actually creates this great little conversation. I recently, about 6 months ago, found out a former board member of mine, probably about close to 15 years ago now. I still remember it. I threw out the idea of making board thank you calls. Like, this research was very fresh. And she was like, I don't know. And I said, well, just try it once. And in her very first call, she connected with somebody in the community that she didn't know. They both cared deeply about the cause, and she had a 45-minute conversation with her. All right. They just clicked. And then I knew they met up and went to lunch like a couple weeks later and got to be pretty good friends. Fast forward 15 years later, I just bumped into her 6 months ago, and she told me that they are both now widows and they vacation together for 2 weeks in Europe every summer because Fundraiser Chad made her make donor thank you calls. So I take full credit on that one, but that's the power, right? Just this connection with like-minded people that care about what we care about in the community. It can be great experiences for them. Just got to get them to make that first call. We're going to wrap up with impact reporting here. So 85% of donors say they don't receive information on gift outcomes. 84% say they would give more if the charity showed them results. Right? So we think we do this, like we do our newsletter, it's in our gift acknowledgement letter, but that just says what we did with all the money, not what you did with my money. All right, so when we take the time to actually tell them what we did with their money, that's a little different. So it's an expense, it's another step, but I love an impact letter, right? Dear Veronica, thank you for your continued generosity. It's been 6 months since you made a generous commitment to the foundation. Today I'm writing simply to let you know that your dollars have been put to use as you intended. With your help, we've reached the following milestones over the last 6 months. And we just listed. No ask. Maybe it comes out 6 to 8 weeks before our next solicitation letter. It's called a priming tool, right? So they're getting primed to give again. We've closed the loop, right? We've told them exactly what has happened. There's lots of ways to do it, but I do like that one-off letter. 93% of donors said they would definitely or probably give again to a charity that provided a prompt and personal thank you, followed by a meaningful report of their gift at work. That's really different than the 43% retention rate, right? That's what they want. Thank me promptly, and then tell me what you did with my money. A nice way to do this, it's called a key supporter mailing list. You can do this with everybody. This is not an email newsletter. This is a personal note from the executive director. And it just says, just the other day, I was walking down the hall and stumbled across something amazing. And you share like a 2-paragraph story of something cool that's happened recently. It's a personal email. It's addressed to them by name. Again, it's copy paste, send off 50 emails. It's not your MailChimp. It's not your constant contact. It's a personal email from the director. I feel important. You're telling me what happened. I'm getting inside information. It costs you nothing except time. An easy, nice touch point. Here's Lynn. I mentioned her earlier, the donor relations guru. She says it's our job and our joy to give our donors the impact reporting that they deserve. This is her website, donorrelations.com. I say hers is better than mine because what she does is she asks for submissions. Like, give me your gift acknowledgement letter. Give me your event, save the date. And then she takes everything. She has a huge audience. So she'll get like 500 submissions. She puts them into one PDF file. So when you're looking for ideas, you just get one of these and you literally just sit there and press page down until you see something you like. All right. This great idea generation. But Lynn is awesome. Great content there. The other thing I didn't mention, we have video capability here too. So, what are we going to do here? Let's do something like, hey there, Joan, it's Chad with the Education Foundation. Thank you so much for your support. I'm here at they just installed the new piece of equipment outside of the athletic center. Thank you for supporting that. We couldn't have done it without you. Come down and see it. I know you'll probably be at next week's game. It'll be here. Thanks again. Couldn't do it without you. Hey there, Gail. It's Chad with the Education Foundation. Standing here outside. Right, just roll off a couple quick videos. Right? They're effective because I said their name. Right? They're personalized, but I'm taking them there. We can take people to places that they can't otherwise easily get to, or they're not allowed to get to. It's just a great tool to keep pushing forward with. So, all right, those are my creative ideas. Now that you have like 18 things written down that you could potentially do, how do I decide what I actually want to or can do? There is a tool I have for you. Oh yeah, you should do that too, but here's my tool. This is a donor touchpoint calendar. So you're just gonna like map when you already are. Some people aren't gonna, you don't realize how clustered, like all your solicitations are happening in Q4 and Q2, and they're not spread out, and you have no stewardship in Q4. It just kind of shows you the lay of the land, and then can help you kind of tweak things or know when to put things in. So we have the weeks of the year going across, the ways we communicate going down. Good little exercise, donor touchpoint calendar. Even better exercise, you all are in this small group. Buddy up. Pick somebody else in this group. Make $20 donations to each other's foundations. You're now on their list and are going to get everything. Just collect everything you get. Throw all the emails in a folder. Throw all the mail in a folder. Twice a year, meet up for lunch or coffee. Just share your experience. All right. Yeah, I didn't hear from you guys for like 4 months. And then I got like 3 mailings in 3 weeks and all this email and all this. Did you know this happened? Just easy little way. Buddy up, go for that. Bottom line here, I see this all the time with public school district education foundations. You're a small but mighty team of 1, 2, or you're all volunteer. And everyone says, oh, we're so small, we can't do that. Don't worry about being small. Worry about being silent. It's when we're silent and our donors don't hear from us that they go away. That is when they go away. Let me give you a couple additional resources and then I'll stick around for questions. I always do a book recommendation. That is my recommendation, that Donor-Centered Fundraising, great book there. I have that linked up for you. If you don't follow me, I go by Fundraiser Chad on social media, most active on LinkedIn, Facebook, a little bit of Instagram, but that's where I'm at. And I do have a recently revised, reinvigorated, we'll call it, YouTube channel that I've rebranded as not called Nonprofits Cutting Through the Noise. And it is a 1 minute or less clip every week of some creative thing you can do to get a little more attention. So I encourage you, if YouTube's a channel of choice for you, I've been including it in my weekly e-blast as well, but just a quick little snippet, and I'm usually out on the road somewhere interesting as well. As was been mentioned, I do a free monthly webinar. And as I said, I'm not doing December because it's usually hard to get people to show up in December, but you all did very well. But I am doing my January 1, and January is a good time to talk about annual reports, especially if you're on a calendar fiscal year. That's kind of there. So we'll talk about not this 20-page booklet that lists all of your donors' names. It doesn't even need to be like a 4-page. I do some annual report postcards, which are awesome. So we'll just talk about what do donors actually want to hear from you. What do you legally have to do? We'll just simplify the process so it doesn't have to be this big, huge thing that is a challenge each and every year. My firm, what do we do? I say we, it's me and a team of super part-timers that just keep me sane, but you get me. I love doing this, keynotes, workshops, webinars. If you have other groups in your community, like for example, Jones from Phoenixville, I do a lot of work with the Phoenixville Community Health Foundation that puts on, nonprofit webinars and in-person training. So if there's a group like that in your community, love to be connected with them, see if we can get out there. I'm just in Harrisburg. I spend a lot of time on the Turnpike, so I can get to all of you quite easily. I do like to dig deep. So if you want to come and say, are we doing the right stuff? Intensive strategy reviews. I'll come in for like a half day. We'll look under the hood. We'll crunch some numbers ahead of time, talk through what works, what doesn't, and I'll leave you with some key recommendations for how can we take this program to the next level in the next year. Always great to have a board member or committee chair or somebody like that in there too, so that you don't have to convince them and you take advantage of outside expert theory, because you could tell them until you're blue in the face, but when I come in and tell them, all of a sudden they actually listen. That is why board fundraising training actually works so well. I've trained I think I've trained 7 public school district education foundation boards now. So I got to feel the lay of the land, but always good to just find ways to get them engaged. They're all custom sessions to directly meet your needs, and quarterly coaching check-ins as well. So those are the high ticket items. What are the cheaper items? As mentioned, I do teach the 10-week fundraising certificate program at Temple. So in 10 weeks, we go the whole way through Nonprofit Fundraising 101. You go through it with 15 to 20 other folks. I see a couple graduates here. Meg recently went through it, but great course. Current pricing is $585. I think it's going to go up to around like $650 or so in the next year, but we have a new cohort launching January 16th or 17th, somewhere in there. I have that linked up. And as Bobby Joe mentioned, I do have an all access pass. It is $10 per month. It is my way to support small nonprofits with no professional development budget. It has caught on. It does now pay my mortgage, so thank you to all of you. But would love to see more All Access Pass members. This stuff really resonates and works, specifically in your niche. So if that's something you can do, if your finance person does not allow you to do a monthly subscription, I know some of those finance people, but I do have a $150 per year option, one-off, no subscription that's there. You just have to contact me to take care of that as well. So with that, we are at time, but I am happy to stick around. I am not good at pruning content because I hate to cut stuff out, because I just want to share it with all of you. But I'm going to take my spotlight off, go to gallery, see if we have any questions, comments, outrage, anything. Oh, they come here. There we go. Feel free to unmute. Feel free to throw it in the chat. Anything works.
Well, this is Todd, and I think Bobby Joe had mentioned that I'm one of the All Access Pass folks. I think, Chad, you told me once I was All Access Pass #2.
You are number 2. That is correct.
So I've been in it from the beginning, and I cannot stress how important this $120, just $120 resource has been to me. You get Chad does the free workshops every month, free Zooms, but the All Access Pass gives you access to his resource library, which is amazing. I access it many times over the course of the year for sample letters and the like, rewatch Zooms, and he does do a month for the All Access Pass holders. You get a monthly group Zoom, so you can celebrate the victories, moan about the defeats, and get some sage recommendations from Chad. I fully endorse that. Again, it's cheap at 3 times the price as far as I'm concerned.
Thanks,
Oh, and
Todd.
there's no compensation from Chad for this recommendation.
I did say I'm happy to do this. I think I'm subbing for somebody and said, if you could pitch that a little bit, I won't turn it down. So all was good. Yeah, and the most recent new thing there, Bobby Joe alluded to it. I launched a quarterly contest where I'm trying to create some kind of fundraising habit. So last quarter we did 25 handwritten thank you notes. Like, you show me a photo and you're entered. Whoever wins the contest gets a $500 donation to their cause, a couple of great recent fundraising books, whatever swag I've managed to collect while I'm out on the road. So it's a good deal. But and currently we're doing 25 letters from your year-end appeal that have been customized at least 3 different ways. So that instilling that personalization. So just trying to show you that this stuff's not that hard. It just takes a little bit of time, and getting my charitable write-offs at the same time. So happy to support some great causes. Any actual questions other than just praise? Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, I have a question. First, thank you for this. It's been wonderful. I have a list of at least 10 to 15 things to do. Question though, back to your 7 touch points and 7 touch points between another ask. One of the touch points we consider is an update email that we send, but we always put that button in there that says, to give a gift. Should we include that on those or not include that?
So I would not make it prominent. With email, you can get away with always having the donate button as long as it's always at the same place. So if it's always in your footer in the same exact spot, donors think we can't change that. So that's what I recommend. Just like always keep it there, but don't put it like mid between the stories. No extra mention. Don't specifically mention a gift. It's just there should they feel so inspired at the end.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, the issue with email though is open rates. Like now email open rates we can't get good data anymore, because if it's opened on an iPhone, or if it goes to an iPhone, it shows it open whether it is or not. But before all of that happened, average nonprofit email open rates were 20%, right? So we send it and we think everybody sees it and they're informed, but no, it's just 20%. It's a little bit of a different 20% every time, but that's why getting it out there multiple times, multiple formats, multiple channels is so important. Anybody else have a question?
Can I just jump in on the concept of emails? And I think I know the answer because of all this great stuff you just told us, but like we have a big, the whole mailing list, right? I haven't really segmented our mailing list. When you say send emails, is this something we could also do? Like maybe just pull our recurring donors and send them their own special email, or, first time donors. Like I haven't done a lot of that. So any thoughts on that is great.
Yeah, segmentation always increases response, because again, you're like talking to who I am, showing that specifically for me. So like, yeah, as a monthly donor, if I'm getting something, that definitely can help. it just creates more work and it creates more room for error. So you just got to be careful. So I usually say dip your toe into the segmentation bucket slowly, like, can we do 3 segments? Like maybe our loyals, like people that have been giving 5 or more years consecutively, so that we can change some language in there. Like, thank you so much for your steadfast support. And because of donors like you that have been giving for over 5 years, we're able to do, but you got to be able to trust your data there, right? And monthlies are a great group, and new donors. Like if we just did loyals, monthlies, news, maybe that's a way to start. And then of course we have our general pool of folks that don't fit in there. And they're still all getting the same stuff. You're just slightly customizing language. But yeah, great. All right, maybe one more, and then we'll all get to those massive to-do lists. No? Anybody want the last word? We're just gonna all smile at each other. So, all right, I'm gonna toss it back to Bobby Joe or Joan to wrap us up. And thank you all. Happy holidays. Get this fundraising stuff done, and then go take care of yourselves, because it is Super Bowl season. So fundraising Super Bowl season. So we all need a little bit of time. So appreciate you. Take care.
Thanks, Chad. We appreciate your time in addressing the group. I think I've definitely got a long list. I think some of these things I've heard, but it's always great reminders and gives us motivation to get on it this time of year. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great holiday season, everyone. That was great.
Yeah, it was. Yep. I saw that Ruthie had to go back to the dentist. Poor Ruthie. Oh my. Yeah, no, I thought it was good. I mean, I think it's some of the things that we've all